Welcome to the last video in this series talking about current in-game factions. We are delving deep into Chaos today as we go through each of the individual gods. But before we start, I have two big prefaces. I would like to talk briefly about the Warriors of Chaos. They currently have 8 different lords, each representing a different aspect of Chaos. The Everchosen, Dragon Ogres, Demons, Nurgle, Slaanesh, Tzeentch, another Slaanesh guy, and Khorne. On top of this, they get access to Beastmen stuff and the individual Chaos God units. On top of that, Chaos characters have a bad habit of taking big muscle guys, putting them in pointy armor, and calling it good enough. Like seriously, I wouldn't be able to tell half these guys apart, though even my beloved Mortkin falls under this trope. Because of all these factors, I'm not interested in going through and finding more characters to add to their roster. I think they're good enough. Same goes with the Demons of Chaos. I think Daniel will remain the sole representative of that faction, but you can assume that the Warriors and Daniel will get access to each legendary hero I mentioned in this video. My other thought going into this is that I think each Chaos God should get an equal amount of representation. I don't think Nurgle should have 5 lords while Slaanesh has 3, for example. I also think that the way Nurgle is now is perfect. He has a greater demon as a lord, a demonic herald, and a famous mortal. All he needs is a few more named characters as heroes, and he is good. That means I'm giving each Chaos God their heralds and 1 mortal lord, so this video may be a bit predictable. We'll start with Nurgle, since I have only heroes for him, then Tzeentch, since he only needs a mortal lord. Finally, Khorne and Slaanesh will round out the video with their heralds and mortals. And yes, I know Skulltaker has already been confirmed, and yes, he was already on my list to begin with. But before we get to him, let's talk about Nurgle. Many might be sad that I won't be adding more lords to Nurgle, especially since he has so many named characters left that deserve to be in the game. But the map is getting really crowded, and I think they will be fine legendary heroes. First up is Alcor. Alcor is one of the lesser known Nurgle names I have on my list, but his resume is very impressive. He fought against both Snorri Whitebeard and Malekith back when the two were allies. Afterwards, he almost single-handedly corrupted the Forest of Athelorn and won the great game for his Chaos God Nurgle. If it wasn't for Khorne sending his armies to fight Nurgles in the Chaos Wastes and the Wood Elves defending Athelorn with all their might, the world may have ended then and there. The Glotkin are my second pick for a legendary hero. Though they are technically my second, third, and fourth, they are really a package deal. The leader of this trio is Otto Glot, who is a capable warrior and wields a deadly scythe into battle. Ethric Glot is a powerful Nurgle sorcerer, and Gurrit Glot is a hulking chaos spawn who carries his brothers upon his back. He's also the reason why we can package them all together. Together they led a great war upon the Empire, along with my last choice for a legendary hero, Orgott's Demon Spew, the leader of the Magath Riders and one of Nurgle's strongest champions. There are 2 other Magath Riders, but getting all 3 of them is hard when they are all on their own model. At the very least, getting the leader should be good enough. Tzeentch is known for his lying and scheming, as well as his powerful sorcery. Those of his followers who manage to weave secret plots to further his goals are some of Tzeentch's favorite champions. Egrim von Horseman is one such character. As a secret worshipper of Tzeentch, he infiltrated the colleges of magic and became the Patriarch of the Light Order. During this time, he began undoing the magical locks underneath the Pyramid of Light, which housed artifacts and creatures which had been locked away since shortly after the Great War against Chaos. As he became more and more knowledgeable of the Order of Light, he also discovered more and more secrets about his lord Tzeentch. He was eventually found out to be a Chaos worshipper, but by then his deception had already caused massive destruction among the College of Light. He fled the Empire upon the 2-headed Chaos Dragon known as Bodros, who he had freed from his magical prison beneath the Pyramid of Light. Into the Chaos Wastes he flew, but to think his presence from the Empire is gone would be a foolish notion. Van Horseman is the leader of one of the greatest networks of Chaos cults within the Empire of Man, the Cabal. Even cults that think they have nothing to do with Tzeentch may have been created or work for Van Horseman. This has led him to being one of Tzeentch's favorite and most powerful mortal followers. In Immortal Empires, Egrim would start at the Silva Tower of Sorcerers in the northern Chaos Wastes. He would have quite the journey to get back into the Empire, which he would want to do as the trickster cults have slowly been replacing the footholds the Cabal once controlled. Tzeentch has many heroes who could join his armies, but I would choose Chachari Zanek, the master of the Raven Host, as one of them. This Chaos Champion is mutated beyond belief, and is no stranger to both war and plotting. Finally, Galrock, the first Chaos Dragon, would be my other pick for a Tzeentchian hero. Once a noble and mighty elven dragon, he became possessed after eating a Lord of Change. His head split in two, with one mind being controlled entirely by the demon. The other head can sometimes muster the strength to fight back against his possessor, but spends most of its time under the demon's command. Galrock is a fan favorite who definitely deserves to be in the game in some shape or form. He would be a slight risk to any army he would be placed in though, as the spirit of the dragon he once was could seize control at any moment, but the combat strength he could offer may be worth the risk. The Chaos Gods are always happy to spread corruption wherever mortals prosper, but the Dark Prince Slaanesh and his demons take a particular interest in those noble elves of Ulthuan. That was the case with the T'Challa of Naggaroth, who was cursed with beauty so pure that she caught the attention of a demon prince of Slaanesh, Samael. The demon chased her family across the island continent of Ulthuan, taunting them the whole time. Eventually, they relented and gave up the T'Challa to Samael. T'Challa was furious at this betrayal, and in turn, willingly gave herself to Slaanesh, gaining much power herself. She went back and murdered the family that gave her away, much to the delight of Slaanesh. She then fled from Samael into the Chaos Wastes, and Samael was forced to go to the Dark Prince himself to complain that his beautiful prize had left him. Luckily for Samael, Slaanesh wasn't in a bad mood that day, and while Slaanesh was furious at his servant for demanding something from him, he made a promise that so long as T'Challa remained away from Samael while he existed, she would never ascend to demonhood. Thus she earned the name the Denied One, for she would never return to the Demon Prince, but spent her days slaughtering the enemies of Slaanesh anyways. Heavily mutated with the tail of a snake, the stinger of a scorpion, and 6 arms, she somehow still retains the beauty she had as an elf. In her lore, she led a rampage within the Kingdoms of Ind, which is where I'd have her start her campaign in Immortal Empires. There she may cause havoc and chaos within the kingdoms, or sail south to war with the elves in the eastern colonies before meeting up with the Celestial demons of the southern Chaos Wastes. Many followers of Slaanesh were artists of some kind before descending into their worship of him. They took their art to the extreme, and then beyond that. Even that would be an understatement, however, when mentioning the mask of Slaanesh. She would dance with such ensnaring beauty and awe that she became a favorite demon of the Dark Prince. Her dances were like a trance, and each performance told a snippet of the history or future of Slaanesh. Anyone who takes place in or views these prophetic dances and survived would have barely any memory of the show. Such was the power and deadliness of the mask. But when Slaanesh lost an important battle against his brothers in the Great Game, it was the mistake of the dancer to think she would be able to cheer him up. Though her dance was the most beautiful and elegant of any dance she had done yet, Slaanesh saw nothing but mocking gestures. He cursed the mask to never be able to stop dancing, never to rest again, and never escape the music that only she could hear. And so the mask goes and wanders through the mortal realms of men, dancing without pause. Those around her share in her curse, and are inexplicably drawn into dancing a part in her performance, as though they had been practicing the part their entire lives. The mask would start her Immortal Empire campaign in Sulfuretz. From there, she has close access to the elves which Slaanesh loves so much. She could also offer up some help to Nakari and Ulthuan. With the sea lanes close by as well, her campaigns would provide a wealth of options and routes to her domination of the world. Slaanesh is truly the dark god that ironically received the least amount of love in the lore. They don't nearly have as many characters as Khorne, Nurgle, or Tzeentch, but I found a few cool characters to function as legendary heroes. Stakar is a champion of Slaanesh of great renown. Fueled by the whispers of a shadow fiend, he grew to become a fierce warrior of the northern Chaos tribes, eventually serving under Archaon. He rides atop a serpent-like steed, which I cannot show. Galbarion is an exceedingly fish-like elven champion of Slaanesh. Heavily mutated beyond recognition, he has arms that end in tentacles and claws, a long lashing tongue, and the face of a demonette. Agramon, the Cage Lord, was a demon prince of Slaanesh, who took pride in his collection of exotic beasts and monsters. He was the one who Archaon got his Steed of the Apocalypse from. Finally, Nastasia Raskolnikov is a powerful Kislevite sorceress. Her mind was twisted by Slaanesh, who made her dream that she was the rightful ruler of Kislev, which made her one of the biggest enemies of Tsarina Katerin. She made a pact with the Dark Prince after she was exiled from Kislev. The Destroyer of Khorne. a title that isn't given out lightly, reserved for only the most devoted and strongest of all of Khorne's champions. To own this title comes with the blessings of Khorne as well as a curse. To fail in the tenets of the Blood God while named the Destroyer results in the instant transformation into a Chaos Spawn. It is currently Arbal the Undefeated who claims this title. He has been hard-pressed in finding a mortal who can beat him in combat. During the Great War against Chaos, Arbal fought both at Prague and in the final battle at Kislev. He would survive that final battle, which saw some of the Chaos' greatest warriors perish, including the ever-chosen Asavar Kol. Throughout his time as the destroyer of Khorne, he has amassed a large amount of skulls for the Skull Throne and spilled a copious amount of blood for the Blood God. He went on a mighty rampage in the kingdoms of Ind before being recruited by Archaon to fight against the High Elves. He went toe-to-toe with the incarnate host of fire and almost won. As scary as he is lethal, mounted on a Hound of Khorne during battle, he is a furious force of death and destruction. I would have him start his Immortal Empire campaign in Tribe Slaughter. Here, he can reenact his first assault against the nation of Kislev, or unite the forces of Chaos under his own banner. Either way, blood will flow as to the liking of Khorne. It is impossible to tell how many skulls make up Khorne's throne. Thousands, millions, tens of millions? It is certainly a high number. It is also impossible to tell how many of those skulls were delivered by Uzul the Skulltaker. To hear his challenge outside of your fort or stronghold would invoke fear into the bravest of warriors. Any who accepts a duel against the Skulltaker meets a quick and bloody death, with their skulls being the ultimate prize. He then will make another challenge, until no others accept his duel. Then he sets out, his cloak of skulls behind him, in search of the next fortress in his path. Skulltaker roams the mortal realm, and is known throughout the world. History tells many stories of his visits to Bretonnian castles, high elven barracks, dwarven holds, ogre feasts, and empire cities. In all the legends that exist detailing Uzul's harvest of skulls, there is only one that tells of his defeat, and it was only at the hands of Sigmar himself. The demon has not forgotten about that loss, and he loves to unleash his anger at that loss upon Sigmar's worshippers. The most prized of all his skulls are those that offered him the greatest challenge. Those skulls he keeps, hanging them on his cloak. All others he delivers to the Brass Citadel in honor of its dark god. In Immortal Empires, he would start in River Brienne, functioning as a horde faction. There he will be able to seek out the mightiest heroes and villains of the world in order to prove his worth to the God of Skulls. With the Warhammer Skulls event, it was revealed that Karanak, the Hound of Khorne, would become a legendary hero in Total War Warhammer 3. It is an excellent pick and a no-brainer. Khorne's favorite dog would have been on my list had he not already been revealed, but now I only have to come up with 3 more picks. Scar Bloodwrath is a champion of Khorne who has spilled much blood in Khorne's name. Khorne must take some liking to him, as each time Scar dies he is resurrected by his god, but with each new life comes at the loss of a part of his mind. But what is lost is always replaced by the unrelenting rage and madness. Silent Anfingrim was another champion of Khorne, who received a blessing with each victory he achieved. These blessings quickly added up, however, and soon his mutations became too much to bear, transforming him into a Chaos Spawn. Still, the Blood God favored Scylla, and made sure his Chaos Spawn form was still capable of slaughter much beyond any that came before him. Finally, I couldn't end up justifying a Khorne list without mentioning Kabanda, the Huntsmaster. He is a bloodthirster that doesn't rely on only strength, though it is something he possesses in excess. He realized that strategy was key to amassing the most amount of skulls, and has since become a favorite of Khorne. And thus, the demons have arrived into the mortal world. That's 3 legendary lords for each Chaos God and 4 legendary heroes to boot. Again, I imagine that the legendary heroes could also be recruited by the Warriors of Chaos, but I don't want to dwell on them. For Khorne and Nurgle specifically, there are so many characters to choose from, and I had to leave out some big names to keep each god's representation even. Perhaps the Glotkin, Kabunda, and Galrock could become lords in the future, but they'd probably have to make a brand new Slaanesh character if they wanted another lord for the Dark Prince. As big of a name as Starkar is in the lore, I don't think he would make a great legendary lord, especially not under the Slaanesh faction. But I do believe that my current selection of lords and heroes are a great one, and I think these are the characters we will see sometime in the future. So long as the game prospers for a while longer, this video could be the only one that functions also as a prediction video. But let me know if you think I'm wrong. Maybe you hate Kabunda and would rather someone else. Let me know what you think down below, and thanks for watching.